Hello guys, welcome to my video tutorial on Web3. So this video tutorial is basically on a new subject that has taken over the internet called Web3. We'll be discussing this in depth in the upcoming slides. So before I start the tutorial, I am a blogger and I write my blog at techieandtravel.com. It's basically related to the technology, container, AWS cloud services, etc. If you are really interested in tech, do check my blog. And then I post my contents in YouTube regularly. Please, if you like my videos, then like, share, subscribe and comment it. So before I start explaining Web3, let's start looking at the history of the web. So web started with Web 1.0, which is basically the first step of the internet. So websites, they were read-only and they were non-interactive in Web 1.0 versions. Websites were owned by small companies or individuals that published their content, and user sitting at any part of the world, they access the data without interacting with the user who published it or in a non-interactive way. Then came Web 2.0. This is basically the read-write version of the internet. So Web 2.0 that we are in today, it featured the growth of social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and this version of the internet allowed people to not only read the content or consume the content, but to create their own and publish it. So although Web 2 has brought the world with amazing apps, platforms and services, but during the later stages, right now, the general public, they are fed up with the way that their personal data are being harvested by the companies who we trust with our data, right? And they use it to create the tailored advertisements and marketing campaigns against ourselves. So we, the user of the Facebook, we post some contents in Facebook, and based on our user activity, Facebook use it on us to have a targeted marketing campaigns. So data ownership is the main issue of Web 2.0. Even though you have your own account, but your data is stored in some Facebook databases or Facebook storage. So that's why the concept of Web 3.0 came in. Web 3.0 is basically the read, write, own phase of the internet, because with Web 2.0, users were never owning their own data. So it's based on the idea of decentralization. That means with Web 2.0, the idea was basically all the centralized location or centralized storage within the few tech giants, right? With Web 3.0, blockchain is the main backbone. Blockchain is a decentralized distributed ledger technology where all the information are distributed in the participants network. So whoever uses the technology or whoever are involved in a network, all of them maintains the distributed ledger, and any information or any new data is validated by all the participants. So I have also made a video on blockchain technology. I'll post the link in the description. Please watch it to understand blockchain technology in depth and how it's related to cryptocurrencies. I have covered it in depth. And another main backbone of Web 3.0 is digital token. So you are all used to a coupon, right? A coupon, for example, that entitles you for a free drink, or you have been to the casino, you get a chip which is worth like a few dollars, right? So digital token works in the same way. So it represents a specific amount of digital resources that you can own, that you can assign to another, or you can redeem later. So it's basically a digital representation of any underlying asset. So asset tokenization, like with the digital token, it involves splitting of a huge asset. For example, let's say real estate investment. We split it into smaller slices, and each slices then is represented by a token. That means each specific token represents the part of a huge asset. and the ownership is recorded in a blockchain like ledger system, and token can be typically traded on the secondary market, which means these each slices that are represented by the token, they are a piece of the larger asset and they are tradable. So users, rather than using the free tech platform in exchange for our data like we use in Facebook, Twitter, they can participate in the governance and operation of the protocol themselves. This means that people can become participants and shareholders, not just the customers or the consumer of the products. In Web3, these shares are called tokens or cryptocurrencies, and they represent the ownership of decentralized networks known as blockchains. So if you hold enough of these tokens, you have a say over the network. So for instance, there are multiple users of Facebook or multiple users of YouTube who creates their content, but they don't have major say over the protocols or over the changes that YouTube employs or over the changes that Facebook employs. But the holders of the governance tokens in Web 3.0, they can spend their assets to vote on the future of, let's say, a decentralized lending protocol. So anything can be tokenized in Web 3.0, whether it's a meme or piece of art or a personal social media output, like anything can be tokenized. So Web 2.0 gave us the internet we know it today, but only a few huge corporations control the web. So Web 3.0 is supposed to break the world free of that monopolistic control. Web 2.0 that we are in right now, this is the era of centralization, in which all the communications, all the e-commerce that take place on the closed platforms, and those are owned by a handful of super powerful corporations like Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, etc., right? So platforms and apps that are built on Web 3 won't be owned by a central gatekeeper, but rather by the user of those apps, who will own their ownership stake by helping to develop and maintain those services. So at the most basic level, Web 3.0 is a decentralized online ecosystem that is based on blockchain. And Web 3, however, would allow sites and services to exist across the decentralized computer networks that will rely on the blockchain technology to validate the user data. So users, or the people who actually use the sites and applications, would then ideally own them. So whoever participate in an online community in the platforms, they would get a piece of it in form of digital token, as we discussed it earlier. And consumers, who are the actual user of the application, they would go on the service rather than the big companies, handful of big companies. So the more you participate, the more you own. So let's look at the summary. Web 1.0 was the phase where static web pages were served without much interaction, and then came Web 2.0, which we are using right now. It is a dynamic and interactive web in which the static web pages are joined by apps and user-generated contents. So Web 2.0 is ruled by a set of dominant platforms that are identified by FANG, that we call them: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, all of which exchange services for personal data to some degree. So data breach and security is the rising issue, and exploitation and centralization of this user data is core to how Web 2 works right now. So we can do better in terms of data security and monetization. So that's why Web 3 is a concept. Web 3, it purports to differ from Web 2.0 by eliminating all these powerful central gatekeepers. And over here, users are repaid for their contributions with the ownership through a variety of tokens. Web 3.0 will be a public internet where data and contents are registered on the blockchains. They are tokenized. By tokenization, it provides the financial incentive for anyone who wants to participate in the creation process, in the governing process, and who continues to contribute to improve the project, that is, all the users who use it. Or they are managed and accessed on a peer-to-peer distributed network, which is a distributed ledger. So because of this tokenization, cryptocurrency or crypto is the main core or backbone of the Web3 conversation. So the apps we call decentralized apps in Web 3.0. Is decentralization is the main core concept of Web 3.0. It connects us to the blockchain networks. That is, developers and the startup companies who build their decentralized application on a distributed peer-to-peer blockchain network. So though all these apps that are developed in Web 3.0, many of them use the same computer languages as Web 2 apps, but since they can run on blockchain-based peer-to-peer network, no one person has the central control of the app. So dApps are sometimes token-based, meaning that they use a cryptographic token that is issued of blockchain for all the transactions that are made using dApp. So any transaction that occur while using it are publicly available on the ledger, providing a great level of transparency, and crypto plays a big role in many of these. So people, they can make a living by participating in the protocol in like multiple ways, like both technically or in a non-technical level, and the consumer of the service will pay to use the protocol. But one big change is that the money, it goes directly to the network participants who works on improving the project, or who are the user of the project, or who creates the project. So one example of such a dApp is Radical, which is a decentralized GitHub alternative. It allows stakeholders to participate in governance of their project. And then there is Gitcoin, which is another decentralized app that allows developers to get paid in cryptocurrency for jumping in and working on some open source issues. So we have to understand that crypto, blockchain, and tokenization, these are the like primary concepts that will work in Web 3. Even though Web 3 is still a concept that is being defined, and it's in early phase, but there will be a gradual transition with all the big companies and everyone jumping into Web 3. So these dApps, they are basically connected to financial infrastructure for digital assets and tokens, and they are decentralized with computing power that are spread across the nodes in the blockchain. And they are able to provide immutable, transparent accounting and transactions. And the most important is like censorship resistant applications. So no one central governing body will govern the web in Web 3.0. There is a progress going on, and we will soon see a gradual transition with all the hype around blockchain technologies and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and all the tokens. We will see a gradual transition to Web 3. So that's it for today. Keep subscribing and keep watching my channel for further more videos. If you like it, please let your friends know about my channel as well, and keep sharing. Thank you.